once again to a technical video from AA Silencers. The vehicle behind us is a BMW 116 diesel. It's in with us today because unfortunately it's suffering from loss of power, and we believe it may well be down after the initial diagnosis to carbon contamination within the intake system, potentially on the backs of the valves as well. This is a well-known issue, it's well documented by BMW. There is a Puma measure out there for it, directly relating to soot contamination. There's also a test plan within ISTA, again, to try and prove this before we massively strip this out. What we're going to do in a moment is we're going to run through the test plan in ISTA, and hopefully we're going to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt before we get heavy-handed and start stripping off the engine away. You can see now the test plan's gone a little bit further. What we're going to do is we're going to do an air mass system test, followed by a test to see if the intake port has been soot contaminated, and then an actual charge pressure test as well. And this is all driven by the BMW software. And a little bit later on, what we're going to do is we're going to show you what this does. We're currently running through the EGR valve system test. That's just gone through that. We have to run the engine for this test. And what's going to happen in a minute is this will actually start taking control of the engine itself. You can probably hear in the background the engine speed has been raised. This enables the test plan to calculate soot loading. Right, so we've now completed the ISTA test plan. We've looked at obviously the various things that you saw in the video earlier on, so airflow, EGR, swirl flat movement, etc, etc. What we've done is we're now in a position where we've stripped out to physically find the soot. Yeah, all the contamination that we suspected and the ISTA indicated was there. When we get in closer, you'll see how bad these things can get. So, the EGR on this particular vehicle wasn't actually that bad. There is some carbon contamination, and as we go around this end, you can see that there is some carbon contamination. We just try and get in here. It's very difficult. There is some build-up of carbon actually within the cooler unit, but nowhere near the worst we've seen. That will clean out, we'll save that, it's not a problem. But that is your swirl flaps. That's heavily contaminated. It's also sticky carbon as well. It's a mixture of carbon and soot and oil, which is horrible. So there's no way they can be working correctly. And when we whip round to the vehicle, we also have major contamination in the inlet tracts. As you can see, what you won't probably see on the video is deep down in there is the valves, and the valves are also heavily contaminated. That will need completely cleaning out for this to run correctly. So, once into the clean-up, what we've done is very quickly, we've just had the intake manifold through the parts washer just to get the real horrible stuff off. What we're going to now do is use the TuneApp 926 microflex system, which is a carbon removal stuff, and it looks like alien blood. Once we put this in, this is going to get everything out of this manifold. I'm going to get plenty around the swirl flaps, means we get everything out from down the bottom rather than just cleaning the little tips that we can get at. This is fully biodegradable, it's plenty fine for the environment, despite looking that it's like something out of a science fiction film. This will just take a little while now to sort of soak through, and you know, it'll be all nice and clean again. Next step we work to is the application of the TuneApp injector cleaner. This is added direct to the fuel tank. There's also a protection unit, which is a smaller can as well, because we know full well that if the rest of the engine is completely full of carbon like it is, the injectors inevitably will have suffered as well. This will help reduce the emissions and also increase the fuel economy of the vehicle too, as well as obviously making it nice and smoothly running. So, time for the real messy bit. We're now going to use this tune-up valve clearing system to get down and clean out the ports and also the backs of the valves. Like I say, this is messy, but it is really good. Quite hard to get this on video, but you can clearly see right down there in the bottom now a nice shiny valve, and all the major contamination that we've had in this section now is gone. It's exactly as you'd want to see it. Right, so now everything that we applied the tune-up 926 to has had time to soak. What we've done is we've run it all through the parts washer, get it all cleaned out, and you can see now how bright and shiny all that is in there. That's your EGR cooler. That's where your EGR valve sits, all shiny and bright. EGR valve itself, and the throttle flap. All this stuff cleans up absolutely lovely. All the carbon now has been removed from the intake. Once we get the gaskets on, we're good to go for a rebuild.